Welcome to the live stream of the Dorchester School District 2 Board of Trustees March 22nd Board Meeting. These meetings are held on the second and fourth Monday of each month and always provide useful information regarding the operation of our district and schools. These meetings are recorded and posted at dd2.org/live. Before the meeting begins, please note these important announcements. Dorchester School District 2 is now accepting applications for its 2021-2022 virtual program. Prior to submitting your application, please visit dd2.org/va to review the informational video and handbook, which includes enrollment criteria, course offerings, and frequently asked questions. The deadline to complete the application is March 25th. Signing the application/contract does not guarantee your students will be enrolled in the virtual academy. Parents and guardians will be notified of acceptance or denial on or before April the 12th. To complete the application, visit dd2.org/va. If you have additional questions, please submit them to dd2va@dorchester2.k12.sc.us. 4K, kindergarten, and first grade online registration will be April 20th through 22nd. Please visit dd2.org/2021 for detailed information regarding documents that will be needed for upload during the registration process. The new student registration form is also available in Spanish. For additional information, please contact us at 843-695-2989. Please note these important April dates. The 2nd is a staff day with no students. The 5th through 9th is spring break and National Library Week. The 6th is Media Specialist Day. The 12th is a Board of Trustees meeting. The 13th is the end of the third quarter. The 18th through the 24th is Volunteer Appreciation Week. The 26th is a Board of Trustees meeting. And the 21st is Administrative Professionals Day and report cards. Thank you for joining us this evening, and make sure to follow us on the Dorchester District 2 Facebook page at Team DD2.
Good evening, everyone. Thank y'all for attending our board meeting tonight, and the ones that aren't here in person, thank you for listening in with us. I call this meeting of Monday, March the 22nd to order. And first of all, I need to get an approval of the agenda, if I could, please.
So moved.
Approval made by Mr. Guthrie, seconded by Mr. Mitchum. Any discussion? All in favor? 6 with 1 absent. Okay, and next I'll turn over the welcome and invocation to Mr. Farnsworth.
Good evening, everybody here and at home. While certainly not required, if anybody would like to, you're more than welcome to please join me in prayer tonight. Dear Lord, we thank you for the opportunity you have given us to meet here tonight. We ask for your wisdom and guidance. And be with us tonight as we make decisions that impact all of those in our care. We take pride in knowing that all of us have been given a humbling opportunity to make a genuine positive impact in the lives of children and those around us. We understand that we are called on to lead from a place of deep reverence and know that the burdens on us now shall one day pass. Lord, above all else, we are thankful. We are thankful for the unbelievable children, the educators, the administrators, the staff, and everyone you have blessed us here in this district. We are thankful for their unwavering dedication and daily drive for success. We're thankful for our first responders, our military members, and our frontline workers across the globe who sacrifice everything so that we may meet here in freedom tonight. Lord, we're thankful for your many blessings. In your name we pray, amen. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, next on the agenda is public comments on agenda items, and I don't have any public comments for agenda items, so we're going to move on to the approval of minutes. Board members, in your packets, you should have received the minutes for the regular meeting of March the 8th. Do I have a motion to approve those? Motion made by Mr. Farnsworth, seconded by Ms. Wimberly. Any discussion? All in favor? 6 with 1 absent. Okay, next is our school highlights by Ms. Rayner.
Chairman Hughes, members of the board, Mr. Pye. It is our pleasure tonight to welcome guests from Somerville Junior Service League. As most of you know, and certainly our community is aware of the work of this group of young women who work to not only raise funds, but to volunteer in organizations throughout our community to give back and make where we live a better place. And of course, our schools are no different. For more than 30 years, they have contributed funds from their fundraising activities, such as the Ghost Walk and other things that the whole community enjoys, and the funds that they do collect, they distribute to organizations, including our schools. So at this time, it's my pleasure to recognize the president of the Junior Service League, Carrie Skogel, and with her is President-elect Carrie Lawson and Katie Eubanks, who is their Fund Development Chair. Carrie.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. The Junior Service League is proud to present a check to your school supply fund to help aid some of the cost. These funds are raised through our fall and winter events, which include our virtual Ghost Walk this year. We're hoping to get back to in-person next fall. Also our Scarecrows on the Square event, our Christmas on the Square event, and our PJs event with Santa. So thank y'all very much for what you do, and enjoy this check. Thank you.
And the check is for $6,093.55, and that will certainly touch a lot of our students in a very impactful way, and we appreciate it. So could I ask the board to stand up so I can get a socially distanced photo of this? And I will say that many of the employees in our school district are involved with this group too. So we're very, very appreciative of all that they do for us. Well, Wednesday was a very exciting day in Dorchester District 2. Of course, every day is an exciting day in Dorchester District 2. But we got wonderful communication from Columbia, and one of our very own, Amy Baldwin, who teaches at Oak Brook Middle School, was named the South Carolina STEM Educator of the Year. Amy? And just to tell you a little bit about Amy, for those that haven't heard of her, she began teaching in our district in 2000, and she is a product of Dorchester District 2 schools. Her mother was a teacher, and also her sister is a teacher within the district. But Amy has been so impactful in the work she has done, not only for Oak Brook Middle School students, because we think of her as the pioneer of STEM education. When STEM was just a word that I wasn't sure what it stood for, but she made us aware of that real quickly, and she has been on the forefront of integrating STEM curriculum in all of our schools. She has taken on a leadership role in the region, working with business partners such as Bosch. She's had engineers from Boeing in her classrooms, And she has, I think, done so much to encourage young women to enter and consider the field of STEM. And she has had workshops, she's had weekend events to draw young women particularly into the field of engineering. So her influence will be felt for many, many years. We could not be prouder now that she is certainly and has been recognized by the state for a long time in her leadership role in STEM education within South Carolina. And just as an aside, in 2011, we were very proud to call her our Dorchester District 2 Teacher of the Year. So, Amy, thank you for everything. You're a special teacher.
I didn't bring any notes today because y'all know I can do this without. I'm very blessed and humbled, A, to be part of this district. You guys have always been so supportive. We've seen each other through board events in the past. I mean, this year is just growing leaps and bounds. It's probably been the hardest for all of us. We found some very creative ways to teach STEM this year. I think my students are like, if we never see a toilet paper for an activity again after this year, they'll be more than happy, but we do what we can. And really excited to keep moving it forward and keep growing our middle school programs because that helps our high school programs, and to see what kind of sponsorships and other events we get throughout. And the theme for next year will be changing the face of STEM, because we need more women in STEM and to reach out to those minorities as well, which is those numbers are growing in our enrollments in our school as well. And so I can't wait to see what I can do, because that doesn't necessarily happen across the whole state, but we're going to help push this DD2 movement throughout the whole state. And, you know, one of the questions they asked me was, how supported do you feel by your school district to try new things? And I said, they're like, uh-oh, what is she up to next? But go for it. So, you know, we always feel very supported, and I'm very, very thankful. And I don't know if you know, but in 2001, I was the rookie district teacher of the year. Then 2011, now 2021. So apparently 10s are my thing, just in case you were wondering. So, and I do have my mother with me today, who's a District 2 retiree, and my son, Ethan, wanted to come too, who will be 10. He's been with us since the first big award with Pat Rayner and I, so he's been with us a while. But I thank you guys always for the support you give to the district, because we couldn't do it without you. So, all right.
Amy, would you mind standing up there and... Did you see one? So I'll get it. Thanks. I'm sorry, hold on. There we go. Thank you. Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, Ms. Rayner. Next on the agenda is Superintendent's Report. Mr. Pye.
You ready? We've got a lot of wonderful things happening this summer, as you heard earlier in the workshop about extra monies being used. This is coming from Ollie Spearman, the state legislature, as well as the federal government. They want us to have children back in school. They want us to try to catch these kids up from what they've lost over a period of time. And so they're pushing any way they can to help us to offer things after school, weekends, on Saturdays, and definitely during the summer months. And we are working on that as we speak. We have really done a good job trying to plan ahead, not just for this spring, but for this summer, as our goal is to really get up and running. So when we start the fall off, hopefully on the right track, full regular schedule that we've always been used to. That's what we're really plowing the fields now, so that we can grow the harvest in August in the right learning environment. But starting off, we'll look at real quickly at some of the things going on in elementary school. We have the summer reading and math camp, and we have the extended school year. This is for special needs children. It's based on the IEP team with the schools. And starts for the arts at Austin Middle will be the site for that one. We have sites all over the district, and you'll see the numbers of kids on the right. That's almost 1,000 kids just in those three programs, and they're not the only ones. Programs are steadily being added each day. We're having a principals meeting tomorrow. We anticipate some more input about other ways we can reach our students. The next one is middle school. Right now, we already have a large number signed up for summer remediation, which is our summer school. The extended school year, again, based on IEP team at the schools for targeting special needs children. Math camp, which will be for targeted students having math difficulties and struggles. That'd be over and above the summer school program, as well as a literacy camp targeting students there for reading situations. That's over 1,100 just showing on this page. Those numbers are constantly growing. And then, of course, the high schools, where we do a lot of credit recovery support there. We have our regular summer school, which is heavily utilizing the credit recovery model. Math camp for targeted students, literacy camp for targeted students, and the extended day year for high school kids will be at middle this summer, and it's based on the IEP team. We have online summer programs for all students, and access to all our technology programs, asynchronous, and it's virtual 24 hours. So all those will be built in for students, again, that they don't have to physically come on site. We'll get the stuff pushed out to them. So that'll pick up thousands more through what we're doing there. Let's see. Next, we're also not leaving the parents out. During the summer months, we will have our 3 family engagement centers, the 3 elementary schools listed up to the right. In that time, we'll have story time, interactive activities, parent training, using Rosetta Stone, virtual and face-to-face resource library, and other things to try to get parents engaged in how to help their children when they're at home. So they're supporting what the teachers are doing back at school. Even though a lot of people had practice, I think we've all learned so much that we're ready now to share those ideas, and all of us working together can really make a difference. So we're really excited about this. As I said, this is certainly not conclusive by any means, but this will be the biggest undertaking this district has ever had, and that's what those funds are for, and that's what we're using them for. We want the children of this school year to be able to be the benefactors of the monies received for this school year. We want to plan to fast forward everything out. This group needs to be started with right now, the kids that are in our schools, and hopefully we'll be drawing a lot of the kids back that went to other virtual programs, homeschool, charter schools, whatever might be out there, that they'll see that, we have a safe learning environment. We've got all the bases covered, and we're working on that daily to keep that up. And so hopefully that'll be attractive for them to come and to learn and to watch the students grow with an excellent faculty. If we have a challenge, it's going to be finding the teachers that will be willing to spend their summer trying to help all the students, because we're going to need lots of teachers, because those classes never exceed 15 if they even get that large. So when we're talking about thousands of kids, that's could be 200 or 300 teachers. And I know our people are out there, and we've got a lot of support, but of course we'll keep adding programs where we can get the teachers to do that. And we might even draw teachers from other places. We've not talked about that, but if a teacher from Berkeley County approaches me, they want to work out for the summer, I will work that out. We're going to turn it down. No teacher at all. We have the students, we want the teachers. And so we hope to have a large crowd and of students and teachers, and hopefully even parent helpers if things lift up like I'm anticipating. As I'm telling you, we're well underway for planning, not only for the summer. We are right now heavy into planning for next school year. And at this moment, we're planning a regular school year. Everything is regular. And so that's what we're doing. Again, I can't gauge what is going to be thrown to us at the last minute, but watching what we're doing with the numbers, every week it goes down. I don't know if it'll happen this week, but I think by next week, we'll be a low county for the first time. And so we've come a long way. That's putting us back in a position where our teachers won't be fearful to work there with the vaccinations too occurring. Lots of things are coming together to give us a real strong finish to what we're doing. We want to keep the safety protocols. We keep being asked, when is that going to stop? in order for us to do the face-to-face with the large numbers, y'all, I want to remind people we have ungodly numbers. Nobody has the numbers that we have. And our principals are making it work, and we're keeping the numbers down because we're using all the safety precautions. But we are loosening up wherever we can and however we can. We're looking at some of the spring things that we're going to be faced with, of course, graduation, the senior prom. Other districts have already said no or what they're going to do. We are behind the scenes doing everything we can to make things happen because we will bring a large number of kids back on campus in the summer. We're trying to get it back to normal as much as possible, but we are going to have to keep the safety measures up. Now, things like people ask me about, are we letting children go on recess and things without the mask? Our principals have been told to work with how many you've got. And if you've got 5 classes out there and 1 teacher on duty, I would recommend not going there. But if a teacher is with her class and she has 20 kids and they're out there from the building, I think that's manageable and should be manageable. And so we're leaving that up to the principals at this time if they decide they want to start seeing how that looks. Because children, they know no boundaries. And they've done so well wearing the mask. Really, you have to see them to believe it. I would never have believed it. They're much better than I could ever be. And so I applaud our teachers and our students, the habits they're in, but I know they're just waiting to have a celebration. And I'm going to be there right there with them. So, but good things are happening, and y'all just keep watching the news and listening to the things we're trying to do, and I think you'll be surprised of how heavy-hitting we're going to be with all these programs and how fast our children are going to begin to catch up. Thank you.
Okay, anyone have any questions for Mr. Pye or comments? Ms. Wimberly?
For the online programs, will children be able to use the school-issued computers? If
Absolutely. We're trying, ideally, you're supposed to take those things up, but we've got so many kids going, I don't see any need in taking them up on one day, giving them out on the next, taking them back up, giving them out again for the beginning of school. I think we're just going to check them out, and we'll have to do everything we can to monitor that people just don't leave the state and take the machines with them. But if they'll just stay, it's much better for them to keep them because they can then, like you said, anytime, weekend, whether they're in a summer program here, face-to-face, they can still go online and do more supportive things for them. Yes.
And then as far as the programs, is it going to be based on teacher recommendation for the children, or would be if a parent is interested in their child participating in one of these programs?
Both.
Both. Okay.
If there's a need and we can find the teacher, I want all of them.
Okay.
Every one of them. So my concern is it's going to be a lot of teacher recommendation based on the child struggling, and parents may not be cooperative in allowing that to happen, and that's just so detrimental that the kids need the help for whatever reason that may be. So we're prepared to try to work around that too with transportation, cost, all those things. We're going to make this a win-win to do. Come one, come all.
Okay, anyone else having questions? Oh. Okay, thank you, Mr. Pye. Next on the agenda is Ms. Meunier with our financial report.
Board members, Mr. Pye. It's actually the January 2021 reports that I'm presenting. I'm sorry I didn't catch that on the agenda earlier, but it's the 2021. But we are comparing with the January 2020, so it's not completely wrong. So I wanted to present those numbers to you this evening. So the assets that we have in our general fund as of January 31st, 2021 are at $57,384,227. You'll notice that we look like we're a little bit higher than the previous year. Again, as we pointed out before, we borrowed some money on a tax anticipation note in the event that our cash flows did not come in from the state. So we still have that additional money in our checking account that we are continuing to pay off, and our final payment will be in March. So you'll see that number come down over the next couple of months. And you'll see that reflected in our total liabilities of the $12 million in that second section. So our fund balance as of the end of January is at $38 million. So it's not too much higher than last year. So our total liabilities and fund balance equal our assets at $57.3 million. On the second page of your reports, you'll see your schedule of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. We are doing well with our local taxes. Fast forward a little bit to February, and we received a good bit of our money in February as well, so taxes are holding steady. You will notice over the next couple months our EFA funding will go down, as we talked about in our board budget workshop, because of the loss of those students. So our total revenues at the end of January were $113 million. Our expenditures for January are down, as we would have thought, because we were on e-learning all month. So we did not have our hourly employees. We did pay our part-time permanent folks, but we didn't pay subs or anyone in an hourly capacity. So our expenditures were down for the month of January. On the next page, you'll see our balance sheet for food service. We're almost holding right exactly at break even. Our total assets are $6,800, and so our liabilities and fund balance. That's what we were hoping was going to happen for this new current year, so that we wouldn't be in the hole, we wouldn't be getting a huge profit. That's not what we're here for, so that looks right where we expected. On the next page is your revenues and expenditures for the food service fund. And the feds finally caught up with us on the revenues. So we are not in the hole at all. We're paying our third-party vendor, the Sodexo, under purchase services. So we're right at $196,000 even. That looks funny for a number to be even, but we're holding right at a good point there for food service. The next set of reports that we have are people activity funds and the school balances for each of we have the elementary school activity fund balances, and then the next one is your middle and high school. There was nothing unusual in those reports. In January, they didn't really do anything because they weren't here. So everything looks good. I didn't have anything unusual to report in those areas. So that's all I had. If you had anything for me.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Ms. Meunier? No? Okay, I have a motion to accept the financial information as information. A second from Mr. Mitchum. Any discussion? All in favor? 6 with 1 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meunier. Okay, next up is our facilities and construction report. Mr. Souls.
Good evening.
Evening.
I just want to brush over the highlights of what's going on in the facilities department and the construction world right now for Dorchester 2. The Somerville Elementary bus loop and the additional parking around Somerville Elementary and the district office. We had the pre-bid conference last week, and we had a really good pool of contractors show up, so I'm hopeful for some very competitive numbers when we get open on bid day, and bid day is set for April 1st. I'm not looking for any April Fools on that day. So the hardware replacement project for 2021, we've got 4 schools to do this year. Ashley Ridge, River Oaks, Austin Middle, and the Adult Learning Center here. We're going to replace the hardware in all 4 of those facilities. And that's going to leave 1 facility to do next year, and that will be Somerville Elementary. And we've saved that simply because it's got the newest hardware in the district, besides what we've been doing the past few years. So next year we'll tackle that, and we will have all new Access 3 throughout the district. At the new middle school, activity starting to ramp up behind Beach Hill Elementary. We have a building permit issued. The construction fencing is being installed. The silt fence for the erosion control is going in. We've got 1 more permit hurdle to cross, and I hope when we wake up in the morning, I hope to hear good news about that. Over the district office renovation, we're working on trim out, and we're starting to talk about finishes and flooring and the final stages of things going in, and that's a long-awaited conversation to have, and we're getting there. It's been a little longer than what we had anticipated. It's been a little painful at times, but we are getting there, and it's beginning to wrap up, and they're painting, and everything is just going really well right now. And I'm hoping that we have crossed all of our hurdles, and I think we have, and I think the finish line is right there, and we're just waiting to cut the ribbon and call it good. And that's all I have for this evening, unless you've got any questions for me.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Souls? Nope. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next on the agenda is our personnel report. Board members, in your packet, you should have received the resignations and recommendations for the 2020 school year to 2021. Does anybody have any problem with doing that in open session? Okay, I need a motion to approve those, please. Motion made by Mr. Guthrie. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Robinson. Any discussion? All in favor? 6 with 1 absent. Okay, under new business, we have a virtual academy partner waiver, and that's going to be, Mr. Harrison's going to speak to us about that.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Pye. In your packet, you have some waivers, and just to set the tone for these waivers and why I'm standing before you, asking you to consider approving these waivers is this past year, the state of South Carolina did not require districts have these waivers on file. They automatically waived them for school districts so that you're able to accommodate your virtual academy students and your virtual learners. This year, they are saying that they are not going to waive from the district level, but they are asking each school district to take these waivers to their board if they would like to be considered for each district, and then have those on file approved by your board. The main reason that I'm standing before you, because our virtual academy plan, we didn't anticipate really needing to have these waivers on file the way that our academy was going to be set up. But we're in a partnership with the Low Country Education Consortium. We're one of those members, and working with that consortium with local districts, they are looking at offering a K-8 program. And the benefit of us being a partner in that K-8 program is any student who is zoned for Dorchester School District 2 and attends the Low Country Education, Low Country Virtual Program, we keep the funding for that student, but they are served by that program. For example, we've talked about getting students back from other virtual programs. Well, if they come back to our program, we get students back from, we get that funding back with that student. If they go back and participate in the Low Country program, we get the funding for that student. They're just served in that program by teachers in that program. So in order for us to allow our students and have our students served by that program and still be tied to our district, we have to have these waivers on file. That's the first reason. The second reason, as we're planning moving forward with our own virtual academy, having these waivers on file could come in use if we have to get creative for maybe a one-off course, and we have to have some creativity in our own program to be able to offer certain classes to our students. Having these waivers on file is also a good thing for our program. So just quickly to highlight, and I'm not going to read through all of them, but Regulation 43-205, the administrative, professional, and personnel qualifications, duties, and workloads. Basically, what that waiver is asking for is it gives flexibility in regards to class sizes and the positions that are required by virtual programs, and it allows more flexibility to offer asynchronous as well as some synchronous course offerings. So the one thing that I'd point out in the body of that is the 150 students maximum class sizes is addressed in there, and the position requirements like a media specialist, and being required to have a media specialist. Having this waiver on file your program doesn't have to fund a position for a media specialist. That could be something that's used from a homeschool to serve those students, as well as counselor loads and those types of things are addressed in that first waiver. So that quickly summarizes that one. The next one is 43-231, define programs from K through 5. In K through 5, of course, that could have an impact on our own program, but if we have kindergarten students who really want virtual, even though we're not offering it in our district, there is a potential that they could be served through this program, and we keep the funding for those students is an important one for this one. So this waiver basically gives flexibility as it relates to class sizes in the virtual program. That 28-to-1 is something that will stand out, so waiving the class size for a K-5 classroom. And then the same thing with 43-232, that is your grades 6 through 8, and basically flexibility as it relates to class sizes for middle school classes. And then you get into high school, the waivers for high school, the defined program, 42-234. And this gives flexibility as it relates to class size, seat time requirements for high school credit courses, the definition of the school day, 6 hours or 120 hours or 6 hours for defining the school day. So all of those would be part of this waiver. The minimal 6 hours a day, I mentioned that. And then 43-205.1, it deals with the evaluation part of dealing with teachers, and that waiving that regulation basically gives flexibility in the evaluation process for teachers that are on a continuing contract. So it really focuses more on professional development type activities versus the evaluation cycle for a continuing teacher, the adept process. And then the last one, 43-62, areas of certification. This gives flexibility in certification for elective courses, basically saying that each virtual program could have up to 25% non-certified teachers in elective courses, K through 12. So 75% of the teachers would be certified in their area. A good example of that is art appreciation. At middle school, we may have an asynchronous art class, or there may be an asynchronous class in the Low Country virtual program, and they have one of their core teachers covering that class and providing content for art appreciation and being the teacher of record. With that waiver on file, as long as you stay up under the 75%, then you're okay doing that. If you stay up under 75% certification in that area.
Okay.
And that was the last one. Then there's the length of the day and length of the school, which we already addressed, is the last one.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Dr. Harrison? Mr. Farnsworth?
So apologies, and I just want to make sure I fully understand these programs and I think these waivers. So this program, the Low Country Education Consortium, or Low Country Virtual Program, is that in addition to our virtual programs? Is this a parent choice? Basically, they could choose our virtual versus this one?
They could, yes, sir. So it is another option, and I've had several first grade, for example, that have reached out, and I'm able to point them and say, here is an option if virtual, and we keep the funding. That's the important thing for that. Or if they come, like I said, from another virtual program and enroll there. But yeah, they could be in place of our program.
Gotcha.
Now, we do have to pay for seat space based on the cost of the program, and those details, that will be something that will be brought later to the district. It hasn't been ironed out as to what the cost of running the program in and what each district's, I guess, part of that would be when it comes to buying seats or providing teachers or whatever, how it looks.
Okay, and then it sounds like, so for instance, let's say a first or a second grader, this is a full program. A first grader could go completely virtual in this program if they wanted to.
Yes.
We would still get funding for it.
Yes, sir.
The educators are provided from DD2, or they have their own?
They are not, I don't want to say not, they're educators that would then be part of the Low Country Education Consortium. So they would, that program, they could be our teachers. Part of what could happen is that the district could say, we have a teacher we can donate to teach these students. Or we could say, we're going to buy a seat at the, in this class at this grade level for this, if we have 1 or 2 students. Maybe better to buy seats versus donate a teacher. But there are a
Gotcha.
couple of different ways that we could participate.
Okay, and then the last thing, so specific to these waivers, looking at these waivers, so do these waivers then apply to our virtual academy teachers, or is it just the ones that we're saying, quote unquote, lending to the consortium?
It could apply to ours. If we decide that we would like to use these waivers, they're on file, we could use them. It's not our plan to use them, except maybe like a one-off where we have to do an asynchronous lesson and seat time may be an issue, or the instructional time may be an issue where, or the school day where we have to work with one of our partners. I'm just thinking Apex or a minimum to offer a certain class, then some of these waivers would be beneficial, and even in our own program.
That's a good option. I didn't know that was available.
Just keep it flexible. I'm not sure I have an agreement with lots of those. I'm the president of the consortium, so we told them we were not interested. But now, looking at our numbers and some of the concerns and things we're hearing, we're not going to be able to meet those concerns, which means we're going to leave some kids out, which will probably want to go to another district to find it, or to not in Low Country, but somewhere else to be able to get those needs met, where if the consortium's going to do some things we're not, or Edmentum at Apex, we can do all the above. Get it done, I'm sorry, we can do all the above. So Apex, Edmentum, the consortium, and Dorchester 2, between all of us, we hope we can meet the needs of a large number of students. And like AP, we probably will not be offering AP in our group, but the consortium, if they do 9 through 12, they most definitely will. It's still a debate to what grades they're going to do, but since we were going to do K through 3, that's their bread and butter. That's the grades they want to do. So we would just work with them on those particular seats.
Yep. Thank you.
Ms. Wyndham?
So are there other districts?
It's Charleston, Berkeley, both Dorchesters, and Colliton.
So who oversees the entire consortium?
We have the consortium has a director. She's quite good. She has a committee in which Dr. Harrison is the chairman of the committee. So he'll probably be very actively involved, and that's all going to be part of our decision as to who's doing what, when, and where.
And where's the funding coming from? Like, how is she paid, the director?
Well, each district will either furnish teachers or we buy seats for those children from the money that we receive. So if we receive $2,000 from the state for the first grader, Charleston County or the consortium, whoever's doing it, may charge $1,000 for the seat. So we still have the student their hours, but the consortium has to break even. It's not a profit thing. It's just a matter of coming together, pulling our resources. Colliton can't possibly fund the program, neither can District 4. And Berkeley is back and forth with what they want to do. Charleston does not want to have their own program. We were the only district at first that was going to continue our program, but we're running into lots of challenges that mean we're going to need some other avenues to make sure we cover a wider base of kids.
Okay, and one more question. So if we offer a grade, though, why would a student pick this over staying in our virtual academy? Would they still have the choice? In other words, if it's, let's say, you know.
That's a good question. I hadn't thought about that. I thought about only the students that we're not offering anything for. This would be something we would recommend, but no, we're not. I think that if we've got it, they need to, I'm not going to buy a seat for another district.
Right.
That they will be in our program. We're only going to talk if the child needs something, their parents want it, and we don't have it, but our agreement would be that they're going to offer it with a Charleston County teacher, well, then go for it if that's what you want.
And we decide, we decide, our students who can attend that program, we're at the table having those conversations when it happens. So instead of us paying for something that we already offer in district, we would say we have the recommendation. We have a program here, and that's what we would recommend.
And we would stay true to that.
Now, if they pull someone in from South Carolina Virtual, and they come automatically to that program, they just bypass us altogether, we get money that we weren't going to get anyway. So it's a win-win.
Any
That
other
make sense?
questions?
if we're not able to pick them up in our district, of course.
But it's really, money's important because you gotta have money to run it, especially after we had the budget workshop. But this is really about servicing children who learn best this way, and that's a choice that we did offer because of the pandemic, but there's still a need, and I don't see it be near the need it was. They're coming back face-to-face, boats, and loads of them. However, there's some who, and if we're not gonna offer K through 3, there could be 30 children in those grades or 50 that want that and are successful. We want to work with those families so that we're meeting the needs of as many of our children as we can.
So will you repeat that last thing you said one more time? So if a student enrolls, but they weren't previously in our district, you're saying we still get,
If they are one of our students,
Right.
and let's say they're at South Carolina Virtual right now, if they come back to our area and choose this program, they're linked back to our school district for funding.
okay.
So we would get the per pupil funding for
Right.
that student, and then we pay
So
whatever it
is
is.
this
for the-
program's gonna be pushed out, not just through us? I mean, it's a program that's gonna be out there accessible for parents?
Yes,
Is that
yes,
right?
ma'am.
Okay. It's happening, in other words, and now we've just chosen to be part of it. That's kind of
Well,
what's,
not completely. We're still considering it.
Considering it.
We'd already told them no,
okay,
and now we're saying maybe.
okay.
And so we're looking at all these, we're just positioning ourselves so that if we do, we know what to ask for, and if they can guarantee it, then we're gonna do it. If they can't, then we're not gonna go there.
Okay, any other questions?
Sorry, one more question.
Go ahead.
Sorry. And then, so if students are enrolled in this exclusively, like, let's say it's a first grader, we don't have that, what about test scores? Will those test scores still be part of our district?
They're our student, yes.
Yes, they're our students, so we, okay.
That's the important piece of this, because we're still responsible.
we're
That's what
still
we have to be, responsible in who we're letting teach our children.
Exactly.
If we can, because they're ours, and we got a lot of catching up to do,
Right.
and
But you feel like you'll have a say in the teachers that are being hired and doing
we
this?
hope so, and some of them are gonna be ours if we don't have a place to offer them here. But if our program picks up and we have large enough numbers, we won't need to do Charleston except for like K-3. There won't be any need because we'll be offering more than they're offering in our own district with our own teachers, and we prefer that model.
And any district that participates has a seat at that table hiring as well for teachers.
Right.
Okay. Do you have something else, Mr. Farr?
Sorry, I make a motion to accept the Virtual Academy Partner waivers as presented by Dr. Harrison.
Okay, I've got a motion by Mr. Farnsworth. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Mitchum. Any further discussion? Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. So why are we approving the waivers if we haven't fully decided if we're participating? I don't know. Is that,
Because we're going to have to enter into an MOU with them, and they already got it all prepared, it's just we haven't bid on this, so we want to make sure that we want to make sure that we are positioned to make that.
Okay.
And if we don't go, we're not using them, we'll just do away with them.
And these waivers have to go to the state board next,
Right.
in April, in order to be
See, we-
approved
we
for the
can't-
next year. So it's,
We can't turn it
we
in
can't
after
wait.
April, so it's a
If we
time
wait, we'll
crunch.
miss it.
okay.
But, you know, we got time to make the final decision, it's just we want to be poised if that time butts up to the deadline. And I differ a little bit with Dr. Harrison. I know we have not had a lot of discussion about what we're going to do with some of these waivers. I wasn't planning, I don't like waivers, so I would rather not use them for Dorchester 2's top quality programs. But if we have to work with other groups, that's the way to make it work for the whole Tri-County. I understand that's the trade-off you have to do to get those services, but we really want to run our program top-notch with everybody 100% certified in the area they're supposed to be in, because I'm responsible for those kids and their grades, and I don't want to shortchange anybody.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I have a motion and a second, and we've had our discussion. So all in favor? 6 and 1 absent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harrison. Okay, next under new business is SCSBA's virtual advocacy update. And Ms. Robinson, I'll let you begin with that. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, thank you. When you say legislative, a lot of people think that that's like watching paint dry. But it's alive and well right now in Columbia, and there's a lot of newly elected officials, and so they are rolling bills out like toilet paper. I mean, it's crazy. And there's about 12 pages in here, and I would never do that to y'all or to my fellow board members. But Ms. Wimberly and Ms. Crosby and I did attend this, and I needed to report because it was very, very interesting. Put my glasses on. I already told you about H3609, where you're going to get the step increase restored. But there's a caveat to that. It's good, but there's a caveat I'll explain in just a second. And then there's the S208, where the Schools of Innovation bill, they're going to have to be tested and graded just the way public schools are. And it has to have a majority of the school, the South Carolina school education department to be able to even have that kind of school. Then they talked a lot about the K-12 funding bills. And Ms. Wimberly, you can add anything, because I know I'm probably, this is 12 pages, so if I do. It was House Bill 4100, and they have added $11 to our students, which is amazing. But in the state, it's $50 million. It was added to maintain, increase the base student cost. So now our children will start receiving, instead of $2,489, they will receive $2,500. Then they have the budget plan for $10.2 million in the EIA reoccurring fund to expand the full-day 4-year-old kindergarten programs for about 600 children in the early reading development and education program. Some of the other budget that's on the floor highlights $3 million will go to the industry certification credentials, which will probably make the STEM teachers really happy. $5.5 million will go to have a nurse in every school. $4 million will go to the retirement contribution, which will make a lot of our retirees happy. $5 million will go for teaching fellowship scholarship. I think everybody in here knows what that is, but it is when you're in college and you're going to teach, it is to help that student while they are going through the education program. $2 million to hire school resource officers. I don't know how much we'll get at that, but anyway. $8.4 million for instructional materials, $30 million for instructional materials, $15 million, and the other $30 million, that's from the lottery. $15 million for state charter schools. Then House Bill 3609, they changed it a little bit, and I think that's going to be better for the teachers. The change corrected language in the House version to ensure the allocations to districts would be based on actual cost rather than average cost, and it also includes fringe benefits. Then there's the Senate Bill 201 and House Bill 3610, which is the accountability changes, where if there's an underperforming district that performs at 65% for several years, then they're considered chronically underperforming schools. And at that point, the state can seek a state of education emergency declaration, and then the school will have to give a plan to turn it around. It falls under the school education department, or the South Carolina Education Department. So that was one of the others, and I'm trying to skim through them. I'm almost through. Then House Bill 3993, that we have now not minimally educated children, but high quality education for all students. So that's it in a tiny little nutshell that's about 12 pages. And Ms. Wimberly, I've probably forgotten something, so do you have
anything to add to that?
So lots going on. That's my report.
There is lots going on. Thank you, Ms. Robinson, and thank you, Ms. Wimberly, for attending that for us. Next on the agenda is unfinished business, and I have nothing there. So we'll move on to the board committee reports. And we're going to begin with the budget workshop update, and we're going to allow Mr. Mitchum, our budget chairman, to enlighten us on that.
Good evening, everybody. For those of you who missed out on Tina's earlier presentation, we're going to give you the abridged version here. I think she's got a limit of 3 minutes. That's what I was told, but we appreciate her and her team putting this together for us. We really appreciate it, and there's some interesting news, but it's not final. So I'll let you take over there, Ms. Meunier.
During the board budget workshop this evening, we introduced the FY22 numbers. At this time, we received projections from the state, House Ways and Means projections. We did not have an included amount for the teacher step increase, which Ms. Robinson just talked about. That is included for our teachers, but the revenues have not been included on the revenue side, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Hopefully we will receive that money. So for the total proposed budget on the expenditure side, for the revenue side for this first round that we're going through, $221,140,952. And on the unfortunate expenditure side, it's $225,932,045 for a difference of $4.7 million. So there are opportunities, as we said, for the state to provide some additional money that we hope they will let us know soon. They just started their budget deliberations today. The Senate doesn't start until next week, and oftentimes we've gotten additional monies from the Senate. So hopefully we will receive some more monies. As Ms. Robinson said, the base student cost did go up a little bit, so we will see that increase. And we did build into the EFA funding for all the students to come back. So work on the students that you know to come back to us. And that was just the board budget workshop in a nutshell. Anything else specific that y'all would like to cover or hear again?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. French.
Mr. Bishop, do you mind if I just throw in one item that did come up in conversation during the workshop, I know, was dealing with transportation. And I just wanted to maybe follow on a little bit here. I don't know, to me, I think it's probably worthwhile, either as a board or with Mr. Shope, maybe to further that discussion. Like I said, I don't know if a workshop makes sense, but I do think, and whether we can do it in this budget, I don't know. But I'm hearing a lot in our transportation department and our transportation folks that we at least need to have the discussion to see if we can bolster that, because I'm afraid we're losing good folks that we shouldn't. So again, that's all I'll say on that. I know that's a little bit out of it. It still pertains to budgets. That's why.
No, it does. We've got lots of things like that we need to consider, things that we've shelved and things we've talked about just again today. I wanted that added to tonight's presentation as a definite that we would try to raise the money for $1 an hour raise across the board, at least starting at 15, and that being the minimum, and that would put us ahead of most districts with the exception of maybe Berkeley, which is 60 cents more, but that's, here to and yonder with them. But we have other benefits that fit into that, so it's a greater problem than just the money side. But then she just told you without that, we're 4.7 million short just making the current budget, and we're going to need additional all kind of workers. And so this is the beginning of you hearing lots of things, but the board at the end of the day gets the privilege of prioritizing what they would like to see, all of them being equally important, but where we have the greatest need, and certainly bus drivers would be at the top of the line because they're right there with our teachers. If we can't get the children to the school safely and on time, then we've got a problem. You can't teach them, and the learning will not take place. So that's just important when we talk about subs. Remember, we talked about the sub pay, because we can't get subs in the classroom. The teachers are out. It's just, it goes on and on with this. It's just a rough time for lots of people. But we need to sit down and look at all the numbers and then bring back to you after you've added to, and let's see if we can prioritize where we'd like to start is our greatest need that's going to impact the largest number. And when we talk about bus drivers, we're at 200. We have some other issues that might affect 30 people. Just as important, but 200 is very important because it's affecting thousands of children too, so in all of our schools. So that is, I would say that's one of my top priorities, And we brought that up today. I'm disappointed for whatever reason we didn't include it, because I think we didn't make the night about prioritizing. We just told you the state of the district was what our goal was. Now, from here on out, we'll start gathering information and begin to put it there, so in our future workshops, we'll pare down, and hopefully the final one that we give to county council will be well thought out with input from our staff, from all departments, our teachers too, and of course our administrators and the district office and our community, and of course the school board, all together. And we have found in the past there's a lot of misunderstandings about what can be done and not done, and people won't come to the meetings, and it's so disappointing, because that's where you get your ideas, that's where you explain and massage things through. But if they're not there, then there's no discussion. Without discussion, nothing's going to happen. So I suggest people get active and let people know your needs and wants, and be understanding that we've got lots of needs, lots of them, but we're going to have to pick out them best we can to look to see if is there anything in that budget that can maybe be pared out to make room for something that we think might be more critical.
We could start assigning some dollar amounts to those different items so that y'all can prioritize, like, as Mr. Pye said.
Yeah, thank you again. I appreciate the conversation.
Mr. Farnsworth, just so you know, during the budget workshop, we asked to make sure that that line item was put on the wish list, so that we could make sure that it was there, and it would not be something that would be forgotten about or whatever.
Absolutely.
So.
We had 7 people watching the workshop. I wish more people would watch the workshop. We've got probably 500 watching this, so that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda then is our Facilities Committee update, and that's Mr. Farnsworth.
Might as well continue the conversation, talking about priorities and money and all that good stuff. So the Facilities Committee has been hard at work. We are about halfway done with our facilities visits. Myself, Mr. Guthrie, I know a few others have joined with us. The visits are going really well. I want to say thank you to Mr. Souls and his team, and a lot of folks for making those visits. The administrators, whether they like it or not, they of course have to jump through some hoops to facilitate our walkthroughs. So I want them to know that we really do appreciate their time and energy in those walkthroughs. All good stuff. You know, this year the theme seems to be fencing, some awning kind of stuff. Nothing crazy. Honestly, the schools look really good for the age of some of our schools. I will tell you, Tony's maintenance crew, the custodial crew, everybody that's working in these schools is really doing just God's work, keeping what we've got really maintained and looking really good. So again, I appreciate that. You have in front of you, you should have the remainder of the schools in the schedule. There were a couple changes on there, so just make sure to look at the highlighted changes there. Mm-hmm. And of course, anybody is welcome at those, and much appreciated. So that's what we got from facilities. The next steps, once we go through all these schools, we'll then compile everything together. We will come up with quote unquote a priority list for those needs of the district. And then present those through the budget and back to the board. And in closing, I do want to say to Mr. Souls and his group, there's a couple tiny little safety and security items. When you're going through school, you just see something and you're like, hey, and I will say his team is all over it, and it's phenomenal to see. One day something's there, we say something, and the next day it's fixed. So again, that's just a really welcome thing to see. So thank you guys for that. That's all I got.
Any questions for Mr. Farnsworth? Thank you, Mr. Farnsworth. We appreciate it. Okay, next on the agenda is our public comments. And I have a few of those tonight. The first one that I have is Jeff Chilcote. Mm-hmm.
Hey, thank you all very much for the opportunity. First of all, I want to say I appreciate all that y'all do. I know it's not an easy job up there making all these decisions with all that money rolling around. First thing I want to say, tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a local business owner here in Somerville. I own a shaved ice business over on Cedar Street. and I've participated in fundraising for a few of the schools here in the district and helped them raise some money. I started driving at the Transportation Department about 4 years ago because I've been involved in youth ministry for about 35 years. And I saw it as an opportunity for me to extend my mission to some of the kids. And I've enjoyed it immensely, to be frankly honest with you. I enjoy what I do. I started out as on the regular side, driving the regular school routes. And then I went into the subbing aspect of it, where any drivers that weren't showing up for work, I was filling in, taking care of those routes. Got to know a lot of kids. This year, with the opportunity with COVID and all that kind of stuff going on, I took a special needs route. So with all that said, I just want to say that I've gotten to know a lot of people in this department. And there's a lot of people here that care about what they do and do their job very well. And I'm so glad that you brought up the aspect that transportation needs to be talked about on the finance side. There are a lot of disgruntled people right now in our department. We feel like we're not getting the support that we need. We're not being told that someone is going to bat for us, trying to get more money. A lot of people are getting tired, and we are losing a lot of good drivers. We really are. One of the problems I'm seeing, I mean, when I came here to this department, I was in a training class of about 15 people, and I'm the only person left that's driving. And it's not just the drivers. It's the monitors as well. I mean, we're all putting in equal share. The monitor that I drive with, I can only speak about my route right now here tonight because I'm the one who experiences that. But we're a team. We're the first people that those kids see in the morning, okay? And the last ones that they see through this district in the afternoon. We build relationships with those kids. We have one young lady who's in a wheelchair, and every morning we play Justin Bieber for her, and she just screams and hollers and loves it. Okay? We're there for them. And I can speak for a lot of the folks in here. I'm sure they do the same thing. They have great relationships with their kids. My 3 minutes are up already.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Well, I'm going to take 5. Okay? Because you need to know that there are good people in this department that really care about what they do. And you do have districts. There's a district right now in this low country that's offering $5, $6 more an hour, $2,500 signing bonuses. I know people that have left here that are going to drive and hauling dirt and rocks for a lot more money than we are with these precious children of the school district. Okay, so please, I'm begging you to take that seriously, because I love what I do. All right, and these folks love what they do. And they really need to be compensated for it. I mean, we're doing a lot more with COVID now. I mean, after every route, we got to wipe down every seat on the bus. There's a lot more responsibilities with this, okay? And they're taking it seriously. And I appreciate the management that we have. I know they're doing all they can do. Their hands are tied. But it sounds like there's opportunities, and I would really like to see you guys doing something. We're trying to get together as a team and see how we can help out, and how we can work with our management to make a better environment for all of us. But if it keeps falling on deaf ears, you're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over. You just can't throw people up against the wall and keep 2 sticks and let the rest of them go down the street. We're training people to go to work for someone else, and that's not good management of district money.
Thank you, Mr. Chilcote. Next up is Jason Brockhart.
Good evening, Madam Chair, DD2 Board, Mr. Pai. Obviously, I've been up here a few more times. We all know that the deadline for registering for VA is coming up in 3 days, We've got constant reminders of it. But I've spoken to a lot of parents that feel that requiring the full year's commitment it's being offered during changing conditions, and we're asked to be locked into something without being able to change our decisions. So even in tonight's meeting, we've heard several options of things that are maybe on the table, but we don't know yet. So with a few simple social media posts, and I don't really do social media, so bear with me, I've had at least 25 parents that have commented with things from offer VA to all grade levels to, well, my preference isn't to pull my kids from the district, I'll do it. And I know you've been hearing this, we're talking about trying to keep students in the district. The main concerns, and some of them I've said here before, is that parents, and all parents, not just a focus group or some select few or the ones that email you, should really be polled for their opinions. There's currently a very large desire, or, well, in my experience, I've talked to a lot of parents that have children in K through 3 that have their children doing very well, and some of them are destined for fourth grade next year, so they're not sweating it. The other ones, not so much. So the situation has been changing the whole time. The option to move from one to the other should be some kind of consideration. And parents are feeling that they haven't been provided with a transparency or flexibility, and feeling rushed, especially even with the mid-year transition. The recently required decision, now due in 3 days, has to be based on conditions that we can't know, and it puts undue pressure on families. The recurring theme has been that I've been hearing people considering switching to homeschool, or what do I do if I sign into this and I want to change my mind? So I know of several families that are currently considering bypassing the whole thing by not signing up for anything, hoping that they feel okay to start the new school year. And if not, they've already researched their homeschool options and they're ready to pull their kids at the last minute. And I don't hope that's how that goes, but I know dozens of families that have already discussed this. Others that are currently signing up for homeschool or VA thinking that they'll try to shoehorn their way in later in the year, which of course is just going to add to the congestion. So a lot of the turmoil that we're going through right now may have been averted if we polled everybody for their opinions to try to assess the wants and the needs. And I know not everybody likes to sign on the dotted line. We heard that there was also a consideration for a separate DD2 virtual school, but nobody's done that yet. And we don't want to be the guinea pig, but I'm a big fan of investigating new things, and I find that the easy road is not necessarily the most rewarding road. So there are lots of options on the table. We have more to consider, and many parents are feeling pressed for time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brockhart. Next is Philip Hall.
Thank y'all for having me. I was just telling Jordan when we started that how far we've come from the first time I got up here and I spoke, and I was very frustrated. And I think speaking on behalf of a lot of parents, now we're breaking bread and having some cookies together, which are really good, by the way. No, I just wanted to say I appreciate, I know even though we're past COVID, we're not completely past COVID, we have a lot to work on still with it. We have other things to consider. But one of the things I wanted to bring up tonight was, every day you turn on the news, you almost see every day of curriculum being pushed down our students' throats. And it is even happening a little bit in our district. I think that, just like anybody that's been in the military or law enforcement like I or my family has, you want to hold nobody dislikes a bad cop more than a good cop. And it's the same thing with teachers. I think the large majority of our teachers are here for the right reason to do right. But we have to hold those accountable that are pushing an agenda that isn't pro-American or isn't for our children. We don't want, there's a lot of things that are coming down the pike for our kids as far as learning the Constitution, things like that. But our kids shouldn't be hearing an agenda from their teachers. I've always said I don't believe our kids should know our teachers' politics. I know that there's a lot of parents that are asking the questions now and looking at the curriculum and asking those key questions. Hey, what are you learning in your classroom? What questions are being asked? So I appreciate that y'all just hold the ones accountable that may be pushing a little bit different agenda than they should be. But the other thing was I like that you brought up the fact as far as giving the principals and teachers as far as leeway, as far as masks go out in the playground. Common sense, I think from this point on, common sense is going to go a long way with the rest of this virus. And I really appreciate that. The other thing was I've got known that gentleman back there for a little while now, and he's right. You know, we trust our teachers that have our children 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and we trust our bus drivers to get our kids safely to and from school, and we can't have low quality. And they honestly, in my opinion, definitely deserve that extra, deserve that pay, deserve that compensation, along with our teachers, along with, I know it's hard to split up that pie, but, it's very important that we take care of the people that are taking care of our children when that we entrust. So, but thank you for your time, and look forward to seeing y'all again soon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hall. Next is Irene Cronin. Okay, all right.
What was it? So we know that, make sure I address it.
My question was going to be along the lines of, for the mandatory masks for the children, how many of the teachers that want the
We've got it written on there. Yep. I'll pass it on to him to make sure he's got it answered thoroughly, so. Okay, then next on the agenda is our teacher forum, and our teacher of the year was not able to make it tonight, so we're going to bypass that tonight. I will need a motion then to go into executive session. Motion made by Mr. Mitchum.
Yep,
second by Mr. Guthrie. All in favor? 6 and 1 absent. And we will be returning after the executive session. Okay, I need a motion to go back into open session.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie, second by Mr. Mitchum. Any discussion? All in favor? 6 and 1 absent. After the discussion in the executive session, does anyone care to make a motion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I make a motion that we allow Mr. Pai and his team, trying to get the wording right, I would like for them to finalize negotiations in partnership with Dorchester County for the building of a library site near Fort Dorchester High School.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Wimberly. Any discussion?
I just want to say, to finalize it in the discussions that we had in executive session, to that extent.
Say that again.
I'm sorry. I agree with the motion, except maybe to finalize it with the agreement that we spoke about in executive session.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's probably implied, just based on the
Okay.
executive session conversation. Yep.
Okay, so that's not an amendment, it's an understood consensus with that. Okay. All right, so I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? 6 and 1 absent. And we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Guthrie, second. Mr. Farnsworth, all in favor? 6 and 1 absent. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Lee, now that I'm